Among the arcane archives of the Third Reich, buried between the absurd and the unspeakable, there exists a myth of a device known only by whispers, das Okularium, or, to those few who feared it by name, the all-seeing eye. It wasn't a telescope, not a camera, not a weapon. It was something else entirely. First traces of the project appear in obscure correspondence between SS Unerv scholars and astrologers operating out of Strasbourg in 1938. The goal? To build a mechanism capable of remote spiritual viewing. But not just across space, across time and dimension. The blueprint, according to declassified British intelligence memos, wasn't German in origin. It was allegedly based on sketches retrieved from an abandoned monastery in Tibet, following Himmler's 1935 Schaefer expedition. The diagrams, drawn in perfect geometrical ratios, depicted a lens, not made of glass, but a crystal the monks called the Tear of Yama. This lens, set into a blackened obsidian frame carved with pre-Vedic symbols, was said to resonate with human consciousness, magnifying perception into the akashic layer of reality, a plane where thought, memory, and potentiality exist simultaneously. In 1942, construction began beneath the Bavarian Alps, in a facility known as Saal 12U, Hall 12U, a sealed vault far below Obersalzberg. Survivors would later claim it was a cathedral to silence, where no mechanical device worked properly except the eye. The device itself, roughly the size of a man, resembled a hybrid of microscope, throne, and shrine. One seated within its cradle would stare into the eye, and, if reports are to be believed, leave their body, not die, exit. They called them Sicherkandidaten, young SS officers chosen for psychological pliability and absolute obedience. Some returned speaking languages no one understood. Others returned blind. One tore out his own eyes, screaming, "It sees me still." A surviving logbook, confiscated by the Americans and now sealed under NATO-level IV clearance, contains a disturbing line written in a mix of Gothic German and Sumerian cuneiform. The eye is not to look through. It is to be looked at. By 1944, the Okularium was reportedly producing chronovisions, visions of possible futures, not just of the war, but of post-human civilizations, of black stars, and machines that fed on thought. An intercepted SS message described a phenomenon known as the feedback pulse, a moment where the eye showed its own observer being watched by itself. And then, in April 1945, just weeks before Germany's fall, the eye was gone, evacuated, destroyed, or something else. The vault in Saal 12U was found by Allied troops, completely intact. But the chamber where the eye had once stood was scorched in a perfect circle, and on the far wall, a single glyph, etched deep into the concrete. Analysts couldn't translate it, but one Babylonian scholar remarked, half-jokingly, "That's not a word, that's a warning." Since then, rumors have persisted that fragments of the device made their way into Soviet psychic warfare programs, that one of the original lenses sits, hidden, in a private vault beneath the CERN complex. And strangest of all, reports from remote viewing experiments conducted by the CIA in the 1970s, mentioning a black eye that stared back at the viewer, transmitting impressions of ancient cold. Was the Okularium real, or a delusion crafted in the chaos of a collapsing empire? Whatever the truth, one fact remains. The Nazi obsession with seeing beyond the veil wasn't just metaphor. They didn't just want to conquer the world. They wanted to observe the blueprint behind it. And perhaps in doing so, they caught the attention of something that was watching all along. Project Northgate. Among the most secretive inner circles of the SS Unerv, beyond the rituals, beyond the symbology, there was whispered mention of a single object of ultimate power, das Reichssiegel, the Reich Seal. According to scattered accounts, it was a coin-sized disc, forged not by German hands, but recovered, dug from a megalithic site, in the Caucasus Mountains during an unsanctioned expedition in 1936. It was made of an unidentified metal that did not corrode, etched with a symbol that changed depending on who looked at it. To some, it was a swastika of impossible geometry. To others, a serpent devouring itself while weeping black tears. But what gave the object its mythic terror was its name in the Ahnenerv's private documents. Schlüssel der Weltenachsen, the key of the world axis. It was believed to mark the crossing point between planes of existence, the pivot on which reality itself turned. Not metaphor. Literal axis points. Dimensional nexuses long spoken of in esoteric Hindu cosmology, Kabbalistic writings, and obscure Sufi diagrams. One file, unverified, but marked with Himmler's private insignia, describes the Reichssiegel as a map and a mechanism in one, capable of revealing not just hidden places on Earth, but intersections between worlds. The seal was said to respond to harmonic frequencies, like a tuning fork for the fabric of space-time. When placed at certain nodal sites, ancient line convergence points, it would vibrate, briefly generating what SS occult engineers termed a gate fluctuation. By late 1943, these experiments had a name, Project NORDTOR, Northgate. Conducted beneath the ice caves of the Harz Mountains, the project attempted to use the seal in conjunction with the Thrommmaschine, a throne-like electromagnetic structure meant to stabilize gateways through which non-human intelligence could be contacted or entered. Witness reports from captured technicians speak of mirror air tearing open, of screams in languages without vowels, and of a smell like burning iron and jasmine. A surviving technician, post-war, described one successful activation. The seal glowed white, not bright. Wrong. A light that bent toward you. We saw a structure, floating, black spires, no sky, just motionless cloud, and something watching inside the spires, not waiting, listening. Then it stopped. The seal darkened. The structure vanished, but a technician was gone, not dead, erased. No records, no traces. Even photos he had appeared in were now blank. In April 1945, as Allied forces closed in, the seal was removed from the Harz facility by an elite SS team known only as Schattenabteilung 9. Their trail vanishes somewhere in the Austrian Alps. Some claim the seal was recovered by the Soviets and hidden beneath the Urals. Others say the Vatican holds it in Archivum Tenebris, alongside the Book of Thule. But most agree, the seal has not been destroyed. In the decades since, anomalous sites across the globe, Easter Island, Göbekli Tepe, the Antarctic coast, have shown subtle magnetic echoes matching the harmonic frequency recorded during the last known seal activation. And in a chilling footnote from a 2006 CERN memo, unexplained spatial distortion, matching Harz 1944 waveforms. Advise further monitoring. Do no triplicate frequency. So what was the Reich seal? A lost artifact from a pre-human age, a control device left by something older than thought, or just a myth born from the fevered minds of occult-obsessed madmen. Either way, one thing is clear. The Reich didn't just want power, they wanted access. And if the seal still exists, then somewhere, beneath ice, stone, or shadow, a door is waiting to be opened. The ancient weapons of the gods. Deep within the mists of myth, where history blurs into legend, there are whispers of artifacts not crafted by human hands. Weapons forged with knowledge long lost, or perhaps never meant for this world. They bear no names in any known language, only runes etched into metal that defies all modern analysis. In Norse sagas, they speak of Gungnir, Odin's spear that never missed, and Mjolnir, Thor's hammer that summoned lightning and crushed giants. But some scholars believe these tales were not mere myth. They were encrypted accounts of real objects, whose origins lie far beyond our understanding. Runes were more than writing. To ancient skalds, they were energetic circuits, connected to cosmic forces. Archaeological finds in Norway, Iceland, and even at the base of the Himalayas bear identical symbols carved into stone and metal that should not exist in those locations. The materials resemble iridium, tungsten, with trace elements unrecognized by modern science. Some researchers speak of a rune matrix, a system designed to manipulate energy through intention, sound, and sacred geometry. In 1943, amid the chaos of war, the SS Annenerv dispatched an expedition to northern Finland, officially for ethnographic research. But internal documents suggest a different purpose: to locate the Sampo, a mythical artifact from the Finnish Kalevala, a device said to generate limitless energy. The mission vanished. Only a single journal resurfaced in a Zurich antique shop years later. Inside, sketches of a rotating cylinder covered in glowing runes. The final page, burned, deliberately. In the 1950s, reports emerged from Iceland of lights erupting from the ground. A geologist named Jorgen Hallgrimsson described magnetic displacements forming rune-like patterns on measuring equipment. He disappeared 2 weeks later during an expedition near the Snæfellsjökull volcano, the same site where Jules Verne had his heroes descend into the earth. And then there's the story of the Sky Sword, supposedly discovered in the 1960s in a cave beneath the Ural Mountains. Witnesses described a metallic object that felt warm to the touch, even in sub-zero temperatures, and pulsed in darkness like a beating heart. Soviet military files mention Weapon Test Alpha V On, a project later buried under top-secret classification. The sword's location, unknown. What if these artifacts weren't mythological at all? What if they're remnants of an ancient civilization, or something even older? Some believe the runes are not letters, but interfaces, not an alphabet, but a code, designed for technology that responds to frequency and consciousness, not circuitry. Today, fragments of these objects sit in museum basements, tagged unidentified. Others are gone, hidden in private collections, military vaults, or places no one dares to enter. The rune artifacts may be proof that the old gods once walked this world and left behind weapons, devices, and mysteries written not in words, but in power.